G'day guys, Jazz here from Jazz Real Estate EV Group, Point Cook. Hope you're well. I'm talking about the sales story of number 3 Calypso Crescent here in Point Cook. The number one factor that got the vendors 100,000 plus in reserve price. So they achieved, yes, you heard it right, it is 100,000 plus or just over 100,000. I should be specific. It's about $103,000 over the reserve price at the auction. Now, let's run back through the whole story of the campaign and let's go back into what was the motivating factor for the market to pay that premium price as well. Now, the number one factor in getting a great outcome is two things: having a trust in your real estate agent in terms of how they price your property. And if it's a method of sale process, your estate agent would, of course, understand what is the best method for you to sell. In this case, we had a long-term relationship with our client, and who lives interstate, of course, and had this property under management with our organization as well. And the decision was to make was around the sale price, sale process, method of sale, and what sort of strategies that we need to go in the market with. What we discussed overall, we did the holistic analysis. We had a helicopter view of the whole process that we would run for the client as well. So, what we decided at that point was let's go with testing the waters for approximately about a week or two. We went in with the market with an average sale price and the price that was in line with a private sale kind of a gauge, which obviously was to test the market and see how things are panning out. The initial price guide was around circa 745 to 785, and we had about roughly 10 to 15 groups for the first 2 weeks. In my personal view at that point was to understand that how the campaign is sort of trading and how the market is trading the campaign as well. Wasn't a great turnout compared to what we expected. So, and obviously we gathered some feedback. Feedback helped us to sort of reprice the property, which was the initial aim, to ensure that when we switch or perhaps when we go for a full-blown marketing and auction campaign, where we would rather get an outcome which is ideal and perhaps which creates momentum in the marketplace for that home. Based on the feedback, the price was readjusted to about $690,000 to $750,000. So that was a game changer in the whole campaign, plus a great marketing. So we used the world level, world class marketing for the home, and it was promoted on all the major portals, on realestate.com, domain, and all the national and international sites, social media, SMSs, your flyer drops, you name, everything was done on the campaign to ensure that everyone knows about that property. We did SMS blasts throughout the campaign as well to the local neighborhood. We did SMSs to the active buyer network. We targeted manually, opened up all our last few similar sales where similar buyers have come through who are looking around the same price point, or perhaps they're looking for a house within the same locality as well. So that was also a game changer. We attracted over 100 people through the whole campaign. And obviously, some people would turn up, some people will just give their feedback, some people would have a chat on the phone about the property itself. So, over 100 interactions with the buyers on this campaign in about 4.5 weeks or so. So, 37 days on market in total, and the auction campaign was quick and crisp and sharp. On the day itself, we were expecting about roughly three bidders. Now, that goes to show sometimes when you are running a private sale, the same kind of buyers might restrict themselves or say to the agent that this is their restricted budget, they cannot go more than a certain price point. That could potentially be that they are holding back, which is a normal, comfortable zone they're in, and there's nothing to push them. So sometimes us human beings get pushed beyond our boundaries when we are thrown into the trenches or thrown into an uncomfortable zone as well. So that was also a game changer for the whole campaign itself, because it was a more of a compressed and stressful environment. At the same time, we were there to assist the buyers to ensure that they feel comfortable, But again, at the same time, the whole method of sale process is designed around creating that competitiveness as well. You never know who is intending to bid. We had neighbors who had no idea, or we had no idea about whether they would be interested in buying the property as well. We had people rocked up on the day of the auction. They were keeping an eye on the campaign who have never contacted us. They turned up, and that happens a lot. Not everyone will ask for a copy of the contract 4 weeks ago, get the building and pest done, or perhaps get the reviews done, or go back and forth with the conveyancers to remove or add any conditions. Some people would just take that risk and turn up on the day itself, especially when you price your property correctly. You open up the environment, the overall process becomes a lot more easier for you as a seller to achieve the top dollar. Yes, there are some risk elements that need to be handled and managed, but apart from that, it certainly gives you a great environment to ensure that you get the best possible outcome. Thereafter, on the day of the auction, we were having some registered parties, but during the actual process, when the bidding started, and my lord, the auctioneer did a great job, and he absolutely pushed the limits of people to ensure that they are definitely doing their best. It's not about trickery or about sort of pushing them to pay more. It's about making sure that buyers do understand in that sort of small time frame and a small compressed environment that they do understand the risk of missing out as well. So there's a lot of interaction that during the auction happens, and if your auctioneer is amazing in public speaking and or perhaps has that knack of having a chat with those people out there during the environment without sort of extending or prolonging that conversation, it becomes a lot more competitive and a lot more easier for the auctioneer and the agent to extract more bids. So that's one of the other parts that played a big role here at 3 Calypso Crescent as well. Multiple bidders, I would say about 11 to 12 bidders from memory that were actively bidding in the property. Now, some were obviously one or two bids here and there, but then there were a few people who were just back and forth with each other. And the person who ended up buying the property, again, due to privacy, I won't be able to reveal the exact location, but that gentleman came from interstate, had never seen the property, had never been to Point Cook, and has just he saw the properties online and had his shortlist there in place for that day. That was the inspection he attended, and straight after that, he was in the trenches bidding on the property. Now, the key area here is majority of the bids were extracted after the property was on the market. So some of the times, if you are a seller and you're looking at perhaps selling your home, you want a desired price. We all understand everyone wants to get the top dollars, and we want to get top dollars for every vendor. However, the key is when some of the times you are expecting a certain price, let's say here, market value is here, right? And market feedback is between here to here. And that's been consistent over the last, let's say, 3 to 4 weeks. Let's say you've started a private sale, you're asking your price here. Sometimes you break the whole momentum of your campaign as well because the buyers have now seen your property. There's no excitement amongst the buyer market as well. And the moment you change your campaign after 4 weeks, it doesn't sometimes create that environment, but it's have to be a lot more competitive in line with the market feedback. Never underquote your property at all. Be competitive, be realistic in terms of what you say to the market from your marketing message, which is your price guide, to ensure that they have the right message and they have the right direction to ensure where they are bidding, because you don't want to be in that risk zone where you underquote the property. And in our western suburbs, the market is slightly different unless obviously there's a strong emotional element. If you want here and you end up quoting the property here, but your reserve is going to be here, market might think this is what you're asking. They might not pay a lot more than the asking price as well. So be careful in how you price the property as well. Number two factor is that if, let's say, you want here, market value is here, the bidding reach is here, that's above market, and you still get stuck at the price and you're not trying to sort of understand the market, what would generally happen is that you've done all the hard work, you'll pass the property in, and then you may have to negotiate through your agent with your highest bidder, where the gap is, let's say, for an example, this much from the highest bid to your expectation. Your expectation may potentially be beyond the market. You might be out of touch of the market, because sometimes as sellers we get quite emotional as well, which I completely understand. However, having that rationale mind would absolutely help you to ensure that you get the best possible result. Some of the times that's the market feedback, you get above the reserve price. It's always best to call the property on the market where you kind of feel where the market feedback has been, and if it's beyond that, be ready to be on the market. If you take that risk, some of the times you may end up getting a lot more. The premium lives when the market starts competing, and sometimes the premium lives when you call the property on the market early on, depending on, again, if you've hit at least a fair value of the property as well. That is the key parts on running a campaign on an auction, let's say, or a switch from a private sale to an auction itself. So gotta be careful when you do it. So 3 Calypso, coming back to that conversation again, 3 Calypso Crescent, that property there has set an exceptional benchmark, whereas the similar properties in the estate were sort of going between 600 and sort of 90 in around 2 kilometers of the radius, all the way up to about roughly 800,000. But it's hard to price a property. That's the only thing in the country that you can't have a price tag on, that it's got a recommended or a minimum retail price. So it's about the market where they see value, and how you price the property, how you competitively get your momentum up and running about the campaign itself. So, guys, this is a great example on how a vendor should run a sales campaign on their property. Take care. If you have any questions, please do let us know. We always love and welcome the questions, and we would absolutely be delighted to make another video or a podcast to answer your questions. Take care.